Welcome to Curbside Chat. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. This vodcast is brought to you by AIA Canada and their fabulous sponsors. It's an opportunity to speak to our experts on the ground and find out what's going on in this ever-changing auto care sector. Today we're talking about attraction, the best practices for finding and developing employees who will be part of a successful work environment, and also how to navigate some of the challenges integrating workers and generations that respond to different motivations. In light of our topic today, I'm pleased to highlight Auto-jobs.ca, AIA Canada's exclusive partner for recruitment and HR services. Together, they're helping increase visibility for job opportunities and connect top talent with employers across Canada's auto care sector. My guests today cover the spectrum. Karim Mouldi is an immigration specialist with Canari Recruitment International. Tony Kuczynski is president and CEO of Mr. Transmission. Sophie Corriveau is the automotive recruitment consultant for Auto-jobs. Welcome everybody to Curbside Chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karim, it's no secret that Canada has a shortage of skilled workers in the auto care sector. Tell us what the situation looks like now and how that's maybe evolved over the past decade or so.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you right now, statistically, you have approximately 30% of all employees working in the sector that are foreign workers. They're basically on a foreign worker program, work permits. I would say about 10 years ago, it was probably 20%, so it's going higher and higher because obviously there are less people entering the field. There's also a lot of people leaving the field. And our growth in population is such that basically we're just not going to have enough workers at the end of the line. Right now, we're having huge issues with government work permits because of salary. I say it's a salary crisis, and at the same time, a government that wants to, as much as possible, reduce foreign workers on the territory, which we can understand, but there are just certain fields that you cannot replaced by just about anybody. You cannot take an auto body worker. You cannot take a technician doing air conditioning and put him into auto body work. It's just not going to work. So we are looking at right now a crisis where a lot of people have brought in foreign workers and they're not going to be able to renew their work permits due to salary issues and to work permit restrictions. I don't know if I'm clear enough. I'm trying to be as concise as possible.
No, I appreciate your insight. Tony, from your perspective as CEO of Mr. Transmission, what role is our aging population having on how you build your businesses going forward?
The challenge that Karim mentioned is absolutely accurate. And we've been facing it for a few years, but it is getting more and more challenging because our population is growing and more people are approaching that retirement age. So there is a big group of baby boomers that are still working, but are getting close to the end of their career. Replacing those people is becoming very challenging because there's just not a lot of young people coming up behind them. Consequently, like Karim said, 30%, I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I should check, but I would say we're at least 30% foreign workers or new Canadians working in our shops today. So I absolutely agree with them.
Sophie, you're in charge of recruitment for Auto-jobs. What are the biggest challenges for a recruiter right now? Are you seeing overlap with other industries that maybe you can take candidates from, but you can also lose them because of that overlap?
Well, the automotive industry right now is suffering from a labor shortage. So there is not enough people. So it's a really big challenge right now. So many people will be retiring in a couple of years. So yeah, we need to get prepared. So working in the automotive industry is great because there are so many ways to combine your passion for cars with your other talents. So you have to sourcing the right talent, and it's really challenging right now. So I think the biggest challenge is to find qualified candidates. So there is a lot of competition right now. So you have to take an action really fast. So once you receive a good CV, I think you don't wait, contact them, because if you don't, somebody else will. So yes, you can find people in other field and let them discover the fantastic world of automotive cars. So yeah, you can find it could be in the communication, can be in sales, and could be in engineering, it can be in business, marketing, supply chain, name it. There could be more than other, you can have a lot of different fields. But yeah, it's a big challenge right now.
It sounds like there's something for everybody if they're looking in the right place. Karim,
Oh, yes.
Karim, what should employers be considering when they look to fill career opportunities for workers from outside of Canada? What are the challenges and how do we make it work?
The biggest challenge is to find the proper candidate. Like Sophie was saying, basically finding somebody competent is in itself something that is quite difficult. You have to be able to have resources on site and where you're going to, in the countries that you are going to recruit in. So basically, if you're thinking of recruiting in Europe, for example, let's say France, you're better off having a contact somewhere that has a garage or that has some type of installations that you can physically verify the competency of the guy. Because, doing all the paperwork and everything, anybody can do it. It's not something that is that complicated. You can find a lawyer. There's always one on every street. But basically, finding a guy that really knows what he's doing is quite difficult. And from what I've noticed in most of the cases, people are just going out to get people that have, or that employees that have a certain level of competency, but it's not really at the level that they're supposed to get. So you're getting people that are half qualified, but you're paying for somebody who's actually, you want really the mechanic or you want the auto body worker that can actually do the job and is independent. And that's what you should be looking for. Do not get the guy that you have to train, because that, if worst comes to worst, you get somebody off the street and they'll do the same thing. So for me, the biggest challenge is finding the right candidate.
Tony, Karim's outlined some of the challenges for workers new to Canada. What are some of the challenges you see for young Canadians looking to get into the auto care sector? Are we doing enough in our schools? Could we be doing better?
I think it unfortunately even goes beyond that, because our culture today in Canada. Parents are pushing their kids towards university, towards post-secondary. They want their children to be teachers and lawyers and white-collar trades, white-collar professions. So blue-collar trades typically aren't top of mind for parents when they're talking to their kids about school. And quite frankly, we've lost a lot of that in the schools too. So counselors, pushing trade schools or professional trades, a lot of the schools don't have shops and trades being taught in the schools today. So it actually, we lost a lot of the interest and the candidates quite a few years ago. So it makes it much more challenging. So the people we do see coming out of high schools and into colleges, when they get to the college, they have less skills, they have less qualifications. Then they go through college. We work very closely with Centennial College, and what they say is the people coming there, they have almost no experience. And they can only get so much hands-on experience while they're there. Now, we just recruited a young fellow who's finished his automotive training in a school. He loves automotive, but actual hands-on training, at the school, at the college, was very limited. So he got theory, he got to take turns working on vehicles. So the people coming out of the schools today, the young people, well, first of all, like Karim said and Sophia said, there's less. They come with less skills and less experience. So you really have to take someone with almost no experience and train them right from the start.
The government, we all know that there's a shortage of workers, and we're hearing it repeatedly from the experts and everywhere else. How do we change the education system? Does there need to be changes starting at the base of this? Do we need to get back to shop class, basically? And the government knows we don't have enough workers, so where do we start the change? Is it school?
I think that it absolutely has to start at the schools, and I think I'm not sure if we can build shop classes where there's no longer shop classes, but that's very challenging. But I would say at the counselor level, I think that's a start. And one thing that is helping us is we've seen a lot of inflation over wages in automotive over the last few years. So it's not uncommon to have technicians making, $25 an hour, which is $50,000 a year. $30, $35, $40. We have technicians at Mr. Transmission making as much as $50 an hour, which is $100,000 a year. So as the value for the trade, the lifestyle that you can create increases, I think it's going to be more desirable. So that will help us. But I think we need to start at the counselor level, and we need to awareness programs.
Okay, hopefully parents are listening too.
Yeah,
Sophie,
and
if you're placing a recruit...
I just want to add something,
Sorry.
if you don't mind. He's
Yep.
absolutely right. There are just not enough students going into the system compared to the ones getting out of our field. And that is the main issue.
Sophie, when you're placing a recruit, are you bumping into any challenges from employers who might have come up in a different era? Is there a generational gap? And how do we fix it, if so?
Yeah, well, before it was really common to see an employee staying in the same company for a long time, like more than 10 years. Now things are a bit different. Since there's like a lack of employees, if you don't give to your employees the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to make them shine, you will probably lose them. So with the technology, things are moving so fast, and you need adaptation. You need to be ready. You need to change your mindset. So right now, people prioritize the mental health, I think, and they want a work-life balance. So that's what they're looking for right now. So you need to invest into the culture as much, I think, as strategy and treat the employees like they're a teammate. So they need to feel like they're involved, they're concerned. So yeah, I think that way you won't have a high turnover, and the employee will show they will show their engagement. So it's a win-win. So I think that a lot of things change right now. Yeah.
Are employers, sorry, Sophie, I just want to follow it up. Are employers aware of the different kind of flexibility that newer workers are looking for, maybe in contrast to what they were used to or their parents' generation? Are they aware that some flexibility will go a long way to creating these great employees?
Some yes, some not. So yeah, I think we can discuss that like a long time. But yeah, I think not everybody's prepared for everything. Like yeah, you need to. I think you need to get them involved into this big change. And I think yeah, it could be a generation one, but I think there is a lot of place for adaptation. So I believe.
Karim, we've discussed some of the obstacles to finding workers. What are the success stories? If we're losing half of our apprentices here on the ground, how do we make that succeed? But how does a foreign worker come here and tell me a good story?
I can tell you a great story. I have actually several stories of guys that we brought in here to work as auto body workers, for example, and that today have become Canadian citizens, and they own their own body shops, and they are actually coming to us to hire foreign workers because they want somebody to help out. They're small garages, I give it to you, but it's still a beautiful cycle when you see somebody who came in, became a permanent resident, and is able to hire foreign workers again, and Canadian workers, obviously. But in the long run, I mean, basically, contrary to Sophie, a foreign worker will probably, and I'm not sure if I'm on subject or not, but a foreign worker will do whatever you want him to do. Usually, he doesn't really care that much about the getting into the groove of the company, and they do what they have to do in regards to jobs, and they are, I would say, fantastic, but just. It's a business arrangement. They're here or for money or for permanent residency, but one or the other, they do an excellent job. So for us, for me, it's a no-brainer.
Tony, how important is ongoing learning and mentorship to a worker's success and to an employer's? And do you think employers maybe see it, do they see it as an investment or a cost?
Are you speaking about new Canadian workers or in general?
I think in general, just the environment that you create. We talked a lot about this when we spoke earlier, and the ongoing learning and the mentorship and the other generations bringing up and nurturing newer generations. How important is that? And are employers buying into this? Are they recognizing that there's some intangible,
I think every successful automotive business today realizes that you need to continue to train these staff because the technology is changing so fast. The computerization, the integrated systems, you have to hire bright people and you have to continue to train them and you have to give them access to tools online. Like we have big screen TV monitors in most of our shops, with computers and laptops where they can do research. We have access to many different systems that supply information. So repairing cars today, it's, you know, it's not just a once in a while training, it's ongoing all the time. So you have to give them the tools, you have to give them access to the tools, you have to send them to training. So this is an ongoing investment. It's a cost of doing business. Well, it's not really, it's an investment in the business. So I don't think they see it as a cost, they see it as a requirement. Now, on top of that, you know, it's not just providing them with training and mentorship, which is critical, but it's also a professional, you know, work environment. In times gone past, I mean, it used to be that, you know, there was a lot of things that employers didn't provide. But today, you know, technicians, the competition, it's so fierce that, you know, they expect a nice, clean working environment. They, you know, professional uniforms, you know, clean facilities. They expect it to be treated well, and you know, back to flexible hours. I mean, if they need accommodations, it's expected. I mean, we've you know, we have different religions too, and that's a consideration. I mean, you know, some of our team members, they need time to pray, and you know, the shops that want good staff, they're willing to accommodate and make those small accommodations to help these people. So looking after your staff's needs is critical. Making them feel like a part of the family is critical if you want them to stay.
Sophie, I want you to walk me through an impressive onboarding situation. How are good employers what do they need to get right from day one and
Yeah.
continue to get right? So lay out a good onboarding scenario for me.
Yes, sure. So I think the onboarding process is so important, and it starts the day the employees get hired. So they need to have like a welcome message to the group. They need to know what they can expect on the first day. So then the first day they come in and welcome on board. So they get like a warm welcome from the team. So the employees need to have a good first impression, really a good first impression to feel really good. And I think the onboarding is really like being done really properly, the chance of retention is improved for sure. So the new employee have to know what's the daily task, what they expecting from me. So that way the employees, that way it's clear. So they need to know what's the company culture. You need to make them feel important. You need I think the onboarding is the biggest part of the recruitment process, and you need to do like a follow-up on the day one, on the third day, on the first week, the second week. I know it's a lot, but if you want to really know how the employees feel, then after the first month, and that way you're gonna know if there's some issues, but you can fix it instead of losing the employees. So you need to be close from them, not to be like every day, oh, it's going, but just a little, hey, everything's going good, you're feeling comfortable, you don't need anything. And I think it's so important. And it's I think this is it.
So if we go to all this work trying to find these scarce employees, then these are the kind of things we have to do to make sure they don't run away.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes they have a problem. They don't understand how the systems going. They bug them, and then instead of just go to see the manager and ask them for help, they're gonna say nothing because they don't feel like, oh, maybe I supposed to know that. So if the manager go to see the employees and make sure they understand everything, then everything's going to be fine, and there is not going to be a lot of errors, and the manager will be not mad about the employees and everything. So I think it's really important to have a really good communication between the employers and the employee. So the onboarding process is crucial.
Karim, if I come to you and say I want you to find me some workers, what are let's say two or three things you're going to tell me have to happen in order for that to be a successful transition? What do I need to know as an employer when I come to you and say, find me some bodies?
It's a long process, number one. And secondly, you're going to have to implicate yourself in the selection process.
How long? Give me an idea.
It's not very long because we don't ask for much, but we need you to be implicated in the selection. Because, depending on when we start off for any company, we'll normally try and visit the shop to make sure to see what you have as equipment and things like that. We like to talk to the people who are responsible, and then we ask you exactly what you're expected. Exactly like Sophie was saying. The best employee is looking for good employers, and the good employers are looking for the best employees, but you have to know what you're expecting from this guy. So if you want him to do this, that's perfect. We have a certain selection process that is done. We have videos of the people, so you're going to have to go through the videos to see how these guys are working. And when you're looking at the videos, look at certain aspects, like, is he fully dressed in something that is nice? Is the floor nice? How is he working? Is he on his knees? Does he have a cigarette in his mouth while he's working? So all these little things you can pick up, but you have to be implicated into it. In regards to paperwork, like I say, everybody will do it. It's not an issue. But because the most important thing, don't settle for an average employee. Settle for what you're paying for. And what you're paying for is a skilled, qualified worker that is going to actually help you in the work, and that is probably going to train, if available, Canadians that are maybe less skilled or less advanced in their field. And these people are usually extremely, extremely skilled. It's very easy to find a bad one, but in general, when you're looking, you really go through the process, because you don't have just one interview. You might have 4, 5, 6 interviews, and you're going to have to choose.
So you're a matchmaker, and the more information from both sides, the better.
We're absolutely a matchmaker, and we give a little bit of counseling. Contrary to Sophie, we don't go as
thrown
far as that. We try as much as possible to make the person feel at home when they get here, but not too much, because then it becomes another problem. The reverse is the needy foreign worker, which is problematic in itself. But usually you have to, as much as possible, try and integrate them into the company. But it's very easy. When you have a good guy that works well, that is very competent, everybody loves him.
Okay, so you're a matchmaker, but not a parent.
No, exactly. Far from.
That's a good one.
Okay, Tony, the same kind of question. What hiring practices have served you the best, and how vital is a team, as Sophie mentioned before? How vital is that to your workplace and culture?
Well, with respect to new employees, it's important. It starts with the selection. Before that, a very clear description of what you're looking for, and an understanding of, do you need someone experienced? In our case, do you need a transmission rebuilder or a general technician? How much are you willing to train? So there's, there is an alignment and an understanding and research that has to be done at that particular shop. What are the strengths of the team that they have? What do they need? So that when you're looking for that candidate, you have a clear understanding. So then you advertise, the job profile, job description that you post, the salary expectations. So there's a lot back to the matchmaking. So you want to start off with someone that fits your needs, but you need to start at the basics too. Are they smart enough? Do they have the intelligence to do the work? Are they motivated? If they're motivated, then the third question is, how experienced are they? But if they're smart and they're motivated, we're not that concerned about the experience. They'll get the experience if they've got the right attitude. So we look for the right person for that particular shop. We bring them on, we onboard them, and depending on where they're coming from, we look at what are their needs. Now, the foreign workers, we talked about the foreign workers. One critical piece is their language. When we reach out to a lot of these countries, and we actually have a lot of foreign workers that reach out to us online and say, hey, they want to come and work and they're skilled. So when that happens, they have to have a certain level of, language skills. And and it can actually, as a technician, it can actually be pretty basic. And we have people using translating apps and stuff in our shops. You need to get them enrolled in English as a second language course pretty quickly, and it's amazing how quickly they learn if they're motivated. But they have to have a basic amount of skills, because from a safety, from a explanation perspective. So culture is also important. What is the culture they're coming from? I mentioned the religious aspect before, but we try to be match the person at the beginning. Give them a good orientation, train them as we go along, and then bring them along.
Sophie, we truly live in a time of change and transition, and we touched on this when we were speaking earlier. What are the best lessons you can share in the hierarchy that's now retiring and the new blood coming in? And I know a lot of shops are selling, small shops are selling off to bigger, partnerships. But what advice would you have for the people aging out, perhaps, and to replace themselves or to keep their own shops going? What should we be looking for?
Yeah, because I think they're a new wave of workers right now. So they're looking for companies who have the same value as them. Okay, so they need to have like an open communication. They need to have flexibility regarding the traditional schedule. And the employers need to be like really honest with their team and to be fair with everyone. So I think because before talking about salary was a bit taboo, and now you need transparency. You need like transparency, not just about the salary, but also about how the decisions are made. The employees want to feel concerned, and they want to be informed about what's happening exactly. And I think like a lot of things change over the decades. So the technical skills, like if we go back in the 80s and the 90s, you need to use like a fax machine, you use spreadsheets. But now you have like more than one system to work with, and you need to be able to use different technology and even new tools, even the AI. So a lot of things coming in, but I think it's really cool because it's all about the different things, the different technologies. So for the future, I think it's really nice. It's a good new wave. So it's really nice, I think.
Tony, Sophie touched on the transparency that's needed around benefits and salaries and things like that. And you spoke earlier about how competitive it is now to find workers. Do you ever get a bump where the kids coming in might be making more than the people already there, or making more than the people made when they come on? Is there any resentment? How do you kind of mend that? If it's a rift, how do you mend that?
You know what? You have to be very, very careful, because if you do that, if you hire a new employee, and if that new employee is, you really almost can't pay them more. You have to treat everybody fairly. Internal equity has to be fair, because if you think it'll be a secret, you're wrong. The current employees will ask, and they'll put pressure, and they'll work. Even though you tell them, don't tell anybody what you're making.
Well, that's illegal.
You ask them to do that, but expect them to tell them. Expect everyone to know, even though you want them to keep it a secret. So you have to be able to justify to yourself and to your team what you're paying. Now, and you have to treat people fairly. And what may have to happen is you may have to increase the rate of your other employees. You can't. If you will cause all kinds of trouble in your shop if you do that. You can't do that. It's just not. It's wrong.
Okay. No, honesty and transparency. We're hearing this from all three sides of this very complicated coin. There's not three sides to a coin, Lorraine. Sorry. Anyway. I'd like to thank my guests, Karim Mouldi, Tony Kuczynski, and Sophie Corriveau for their excellent insights on attracting top-tier talent in Canada's auto care sector, and also congratulate AIA Canada on their newest partnership with Auto-jobs.ca. I'm Lorraine Sommerfeld, and I'll see you next time on Curbside Chat. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.